Hi, fifth graders. Today we're going to take a look at our homework assignment. It's the first one, and this will be the only video that I'm going to do for homework this year. Look at the top, it says, I can understand what to do on my first math homework assignment. We're going to go through this together. You don't need to write down that I can statement like you'd have to do for seat work videos. This really is just to give you an overview of what homework's going to look like for the year. So let's jump in. We're going to look at the very top. I've broken this up into sections. So if you have your paper in front of you, you'll notice up at the top here it says always show your work. Anytime you have to show your work on a given math problem, if that's multiplication, division, addition, subtraction, or anything else like comparing fractions with unlike denominators, I will expect to see work on your paper that shows me what you did. If you don't wish to use the workspace that's provided on the paper, in this case that's at the bottom of the sheet, and you'll see one on the back too, you don't have to. You can do it on a separate sheet of lined paper or plain paper. The only thing I ask is that you make sure you number all the problems on your extra piece of paper and circle the answers on that paper. Once you've done that, you can staple it to your homework paper. There are some problems you're not going to need to show any work for at all. The ones listed below are good examples of that, where you're just going to identify the number that's in a given place value. Before we jump into actually filling this out, I'm going to spend just a couple minutes reviewing place value with you to make sure that we're on the same page. All right, so let's take a look at this place value chart as a quick review. And if you forgot some of this stuff, please don't worry about it. You can always refer back to this video because you're going to see place value stuff is going to show up in future videos too. So if you need to come back and take a look at this, you can do that. So our place values here, we've got the ones, the tens, and the hundreds to the left of the decimal point. And then these patterns actually repeat themselves. So if we take a look at the thousands, that's actually the 1,000s. And then the 10,000s, and then the hundreds, the 100,000s are here. And we do the 1 millions, 10 millions, 100 millions, and so on if we went out that way. We'll also know that these are separated into groups of 3. So between every group of 3, as you move out this way, there's going to be a comma. I will expect you to put commas in your answers, and I will expect those to go into Schoology when you type your answers in. A good way to remember this is if you just say the place value name when you get to the comma, that's very helpful. Just a way to think about it. That's the end of that family. That's where I'm going to see that family name. So for example, 8,794,125 and 63 thousandths. You'll notice here this and is right below the decimal point. Whenever you see numbers in word form, if you see the word and listed in there, that indicates that you have a decimal number. All the decimal places end in THS. You'll notice there's no once place, that doesn't exist. This is the tenths place. Good way to think about that being the dimes place if you think about money. The hundredths place, think about that being the pennies place because it takes 10 dimes to make $1. It takes 100 pennies to make $1. So that's just a good way to think about that. And then we've got the thousandths place out here. You'll notice that when I read that, I said 63 thousandths. That's because wherever this number ends, that's the place value name that we state. So if this was stopped here in the hundredths place, we would say 6 hundredths. And we'll go through that a little bit as we take a look at our lesson, and I'll give you a couple areas to just pay attention to as we go through that together. Okay, so here it is written out in word form. You'll notice down here in word form that the commas are in the exact same spot they are in the numbers form, and that is always going to be the way it's going to look on your sheet when you take them home for homework. So 8,794,000, there's your comma. 125, there's the word and, which indicates we've got a decimal point, 63 thousandths. Okay, so let's take a look at the very first problem. I'm going to do the first part with you, and I'm going to have you do the next parts on your own. So if we take a look at the number 6 million, there's that comma, 285,309 and 147 thousandths, because it ends in the thousandths place, they're asking us which of these numbers are in the hundreds place. So let's look at that place value chart again. So if we look down here in the place value charts, I'm going to focus in on the decimal point because that's right there and it's pretty easy to see. So I know that I need to be in the hundreds place. I don't see a THS here, so I know I'm dealing with a whole number, not a decimal number. So if I come down here, I go 1, 2, 3 spots to find the hundreds place when I move away from the decimal. So up here, I'm going to move from the decimal. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3 spots, that's going to be a 3. So in that answer blank for the digit that I'm going to put in there is going to be a 3. That is the number that is in the hundreds place. I'm going to have you do the tenths and hundredths place. Notice that these are THS numbers. And I'm going to have you put those in there. Remember, you only have to list the number. You don't have to put a decimal point or anything like that. Just the number that is in that place value. Over here, it says to write a 4-digit number with a 4 in the hundreds place, a 7 in the ones place, a 2 in the tens place, and a 6 in the thousands place. I always recommend that students put the number of blanks down on their paper that they're looking for. So in this case, there's a 4-digit number that we're going to write. What I've also noticed when I look at this is none of these numbers that they're talking about actually end in THS. So this is going to be a whole number. So this is a good place for me to put my comma in, remembering, okay, I've got 1, 2, 3 digits, then my comma has to go in, so I'm going to put my comma in right there. That'll also help me with my place values. And then if I look down here in the place value chart, I can use that to help me figure out what number goes where. So you're going to use this place value chart down here to help you fill in this number. I'm not going to fill any parts of this in for you, but just look down here and figure out where those digits would go. So let's look at this next part. It says to write the following numbers in standard notation. So all that means is these words are going to be written as numbers. Whenever you see the word standard notation, they're looking for the number that is. It says to write any fractional parts in decimal form. Well, 5/10 down here can be written as a fraction, but we're going to do it as a decimal number when we write it on this blank. So this one says 317 and 5/10. Let's take a look at that place value chart again. What I notice right away is that there is an and in this particular problem. That tells me that I have a decimal number here. So I'm going to go over here and I'm going to deal to here's my decimal down here. I'm going to deal to these numbers first. So 300. So that means in the hundreds place, I got to put a number 3 there. And then it says 17. Well, I know that in the tens place, the 17 is going to have a 1, and then I'll put the 7 down in the ones place. That's where those are going to go. Then I get back to my and. It says I have to have a 5 in the tenths place. Right there is where that number is going to stop. So I'm going to put my 5 in the tenths place. So now all you need to do is take this number and copy it into the blank up here. You are going to repeat that process with these two numbers as well. One thing I want you to be careful of, if you'll notice there's commas here in problem C. So you've got a comma here and a comma here. Remember, there have to be 3 digits in between each of the commas. So this says 300,006. Which tells you you're going to have to put some zeros into that number as placeholders. You also see the word and in there, so this is going to have a decimal in there. So just be careful with this one as you're working on it at home. Down here at number 4, it says order the following from least to greatest. So we've got these 4 numbers. The easiest way to do this is if I just stack these up, and I'm going to do that over on the side of the screen here in just a minute, by the decimal point. So let's take a look at the first one. I've got 3 and 1/10, then I've got 3 and 100th, then I've got 3 and 11/100ths, and then I've got 3 and 0/10ths. Now that I've lined these up by the decimal point, one thing that a lot of kids have found helpful in the past is you'll notice this only has 1 digit that comes after the decimal point. Well, the nice thing about decimal numbers, and this is the only place this works, it doesn't work for whole numbers, is I can extend these numbers by adding a 0 at the end. So let's do that in a minute. So I'm going to put that 0 there and that 0 there. So now if we take a look at these, we can just think about money. So if I'm thinking here, I've got $3.10, $3.01, $3.11, and $3. So it's asking me to put them from least to greatest. So the smallest number in this grouping right here is $3. So I'm going to put that on the blank, and you can either do that as 3.0, or you can add the additional 0 there as well. It doesn't matter. It doesn't change the value of that number. When you get to this on Schoology, you're going to reorder these numbers to put them in the correct order. The extra zeros won't be there, so just be on the lookout for that. All right, and I'm just going to review this part. I'm not going to spend any time solving these. Addition and subtraction should be review for us. Just pay attention that these are all addition and these are all subtraction for problem 5 and then 6. These are the work boxes that are down here. You can use these or you can do them on a separate sheet of paper. Just note, I get questions every year about why do these little boxes in here? They're really designed to help you line up your digits so the place values don't get off and you don't make any mistakes when you're adding your numbers. So for example, that very first one up here, 583 plus 346, the reason we do that is we put 1 digit in each box. And then if we need to carry or do any of that kind of stuff, we can bring it up and just keep everything lined up. Same if we're going to borrow over here when we're dealing with subtraction. All right, let's look at the last problem that you have on this paper. It says for the number to the right, write the place value for the given digit. So this time we're going to write the name of the place value in the blanks for the number that's listed here. Just look at these and make sure you understand. There go A, B, C, D, E, F. And then when you do this on Schoology, you're actually going to drag the place value name next to the number. So just make sure you have those written down. So let's look at that place value chart one more time. So I've got my decimal point right here, and I'm going to take my place value and I'm going to count 1, 2 spots. So we are going to write the word tens next to the number 4 because it's in the tens place, just like that. You will repeat that for the rest of these digits, and then you're going to want to go on to Schoology. And at the top, you'll see homework 1A. It's got a blue puzzle piece instead of a green one. That's the one that you are going to fill out for me. Just one final note. In order for you to get credit for doing your homework, I need 2 things. I need you to put your answers in on Schoology and submit them to me. And I need the paper copy. Also, my expectation is if you get less than 80%, you are going to go back and you're going to redo it. You have 3 attempts on this available, and it will take the highest of the 3. But if you get less than 80%, you need to take another attempt and get that score higher.